like me and my niggas prepared for the dog. Yeah. So we gon' get it on for the last days, nigga. You already know what it is. 140 for the rebel.
They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. Earn your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war, let's see who make it out. It's a problem, tell them pop ball. I die for I let my colors fly, ball. For a nigga take me, they'll drop dead. AR, clean them up like a mop pig. Say he cool, he bad, he really so tough. They like, damn, look what he did to Billy go rough. Little bitch think she Kiki Palmer, silly hoe. She know I'm that bull, but I ain't from Philly though. From the city where they say about that ribbon like petty poops. Know them niggas plotting, gotta deal with me. Can't catch me slipping, got to steal with me. Just left Alabama, bought a chopper from some hillbilly move. He made my feel the blade. Leave them all bruised, come through like a plague. Rebel off the leash like a dog out the cage. Call me Johnny Blaze on One West May. Watch your step get stretched like a limousine. So my brother bring that blade back wet, that's my enemy. A little nigga, this that cold, need to talk. Niggas know I got blood in my cup, I just sip it like it's grenadine. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war, let's see who make it out. Earn your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war, let's see who make it out. Tell them niggas good night, here come the best. Look, told them niggas get right or get left. UPK bad man, I pin to your flesh. Hellboy, rip the soul out of dead man shit. Got the rate, the power, I been the showstopper. Yeah, they might hate, but I know they gon' watch. Zone on lock, and you know the flow prop. Iced out, got the drip out of David Jones lock. Know I got the plan, they say that you the man. No shit, Sherlock, I'm the one you heard about. Burn down the building, let them all watch. Throw that One West up, then I swerve. Sick with this shit, I do not need a detox. He don't watch a step, blow him out them Reeboks. We taking over, I'm sending the word out. Can't see me, little nigga, I put you in a bird box. Look, it's One West practical, gladiator, maximum. Creep on them slow, but that Glock fire rapido. All I want is more power, more straps to blow. Ain't got excuse for no car, he gon' have to go. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. Earn your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out.
Hey, shalom. All right, this is the ISUPK Wednesday history class with myself, Officer Damgaba. I got my brothers with me, Officer Hakayan, Trooper Banyamyan. We're going to continue on from last week. We're going to try to go into a few new stuff as well. So this is the history class. You can ask your questions, whether on topic or off topic. It doesn't have to be history related. Also, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. We also have classes here in the UK, Monday through Friday. So on Monday, we have what? The law class by Officer Mawsa. Tuesday, we have the Brotherhood class by Officer Tazarpawan. Wednesday, we have the history class by myself, Damgaba. Thursday, we have the scripture breakdown class with Captain Karafia. Friday, we have the Lashram Kodash with Officer Arban. We also have the radio show Friday night, 9 p.m. With Captain Crofty and myself and other brothers that want to join. Saturday, we also have the Sabbath service. And Lord allow, we have camp. So we've got a busy schedule in the UK. We've got a rampacked schedule for you. Every day we got things going on, man. So today we're going to go into a bit about England, the Anglo Saxons, the Viking invasions, the Danes coming and invading England, the conversion of the Anglo Saxons from paganism to Christianity. Because what a lot of people don't know is the reason you have the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is because the Anglo Saxons named them that, man. The Anglo Saxons was pagans, if you ask them who they originated from, they'll tell you Odin and Woden. That's who they believe that they came from. Until over time, they was converted to Christianity. But if I could get me Revelations chapter 12 and verse 16. So we're gonna start there.
Revelations 12:16. And the earth helped the woman. And the earth
and the earth helped the woman, meaning archaeology, meaning records. The earth helped the woman. Like there's a ton of records where the oppressor wrote these records trying to diss us. And over time, these records have helped us find out who we are, because the earth helped the woman. They used to write records about how black people looked and how they looked funny. And it was a joke to them of how black people looked in these regions, how they look funny. And then thousands of years later, we picked up the same records and we used that record as proof to say, see, this is where we was, because they wrote about us in their records. Now, they wrote it at the time to mock us, talk about how ugly we was. And in 2023, we're using this record to prove that we ruled Europe, man. We're using these same records to prove that your historians that was around back then know that we ruled Europe. Go ahead.
So, like, it's a run. Can you run that back one more time if you could, so I could just understand what you just said about them thinking we're ugly? Because the white man's the most ugliest piece of sitting I've ever seen on the face of the planet. So I would like to, yeah.
They used to write records and they used to say that black people's lips are so big. They used to say there was these people with long heads and their lips were so big and it was so dark and their nose was so big and it was dark in complexion. And those are the same records that we used to say, see, your scholars wrote about certain black men in Europe, which was us.
Right.
So now, I guarantee you that man's turning in his grave wishing he didn't write these records, man. The Lord always finds a way for us. Now,
That's
at the time, it sounds like mockery. Like even back then, these Edomites, now in later years, when they dressed in blackface, it became a diss. But when we was ruling Europe, they dressed in blackface so they could look like the Moors. So what they used to do is paint their face black so they could look like the Moors. Why? Because the Moors were ruling and so forth. So they used to paint their face black. So Lucky, go ahead.
Constant. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
And the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of its mouth. Go ahead.
Good one, Khan. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
And then there was wrath with us. So now, when we went, now, like we went over last week, where did the Anglo Saxons, where did they come from before they went to England? Like before they made their migration into England, where did they come from?
Boy. Where did they come from?
Don't worry, I'll help you out. So
yeah, that was a good one.
They came from Scandinavia.
Right. Okay.
So,
you never told us that. Did you tell us that last week, sir?
I believe so.
I can't remember that one. It's a lucky. Maybe I missed it. It's lucky, sir.
So now they came from Scandinavia. So where's Scandinavia? Scandinavia is Northern Europe. So all these brothers came from Scandinavia. They came from Northern Europe, countries like Norway, Denmark, Norway, Denmark. They came from places like some of them went to France from there. So from Scandinavia, some of them went to other places, Germany, so forth. So what you will have is, you see, from Scandinavia, the ones which went to England, they then, just remember, they all started off in Scandinavia. So from Scandinavia, some of them went to what? Germany and so forth. And then from there, some left Norway. That's another one, Norway, Denmark. and then from there they would go different places. So now let's say us three one day, let's say we're all in Scandinavia, and Banyamyan says, you know what, I'm gonna take this sea to go over there. Hakian says, I'm gonna take this sea to go over there. But we're all the same. So what would happen is the sea which Banyamyan took, once he gets to another country, he becomes an Anglo Saxon. The sea which Hakayan took, once he gets over there, he becomes a Dane. The sea which I took, once I go there, I become one of the Franks or the Frisians. So what you have is once these Frisians and Franks and Danes and Visigoths and all of these names they gave them started to fight each other, they all started off as brothers in Scandinavia. But over time, once you move location, you become different people. Different names get attached to your line.
Right.
And that's what you had in early Europe. So you hear about all these names. You hear about the Norman conquest. You hear about the Normans. You hear about the House of Anjou. You hear about all of these names. And all of these was niggas that, came from different parts of the land. And over time, different names got attached to their tribes. So hold on. Let me pull up Scandinavia. Hold on, let me see if I can. Hold on, let me type in Scandinavian countries. Give me a second. The internet's moving slow, just bear with me.
So lucky, so if I could be of assistance, what you're looking for? You want me to get it for you?
For what I got it now, let me just pull it on the screen. So can you see? So can you see? Can you see those countries on the left?
On our right, yeah, that'll be your left and our right.
On the right.
Yeah.
On the right. So now you see Denmark, Norway, Sweden. So now, when you read about black kings and so forth, most of them was ruling over these regions. So
right.
So now, I got a book right here. It says Negroes in Coat of Arms. Hold on, let me stop sharing this.
And Salakia said, if I may,
go ahead.
These are the most whitest areas they are in Europe. Them places there. There's no blacks there ever.
Exactly. And now, here, this says Negroes in coat of arms of noble families. It says French, Dutch, and Belgian families with names of Negroes. So hold on, let me show you the coats of arms. So now, this is the coat of arms that you're gonna see. Hold on, let me. How do I make my screen big? Hold on, give me 1 second. First one. Yeah. Okay. So can you see? Can you see those?
Can you go back a little bit so the camera can adjust to it? And then come full. It's a little bit misty, other ones. Luckier. I can see little black people though, but little black dots I can see, but not really anything to identify black people. Salakia. Oh, little heads. Their heads, right?
Yeah. So that's the heads. Can you see it?
Right, yeah, not fully, but yeah, we can identify it still.
So now that's the coats of arms of some of the black families in Europe. So some of the black families in Europe, that right there is the coat of arms. And get me the next page. So I'm going to show them over. Read the highlighted part at the bottom, the little title.
French, Dutch, and Belgian families.
So now it says French, Dutch, and Belgian families. Go ahead.
With names of Negroes.
With what?
Names of Negroes.
With names of Negroes. So these was the Negroes that was ruling all throughout Europe. Go ahead.
Right.
So this is other coat of arms. So there's hundreds of coat of arms that you can find all around Europe with black heads on there. Why? Because black people rule in Europe.
What's that book?
Tons of them. So I can say that again.
Sorry to cut you, sir. What's that book called?
That's Nature Knows No Color Line.
Oh yeah, I know that book. Yeah. Khan.
So yeah. Get me there should be, I think there should be more on the next page. Can you see there? Should be yellow at the bottom where I highlighted it.
And Salakia, sir, coat of arms means what does it mean? Coat of arms.
So coat of arms would be like your family badge. so people know which family you come from. So
Right.
you would have that coat of arms, and then people would know, okay, this is the sons of Hakayan. Usually, coat of arms was something which was relatable to you.
Right, not
So
your
they would have a
tribe.
coat of arms. So, like you say that again.
Not your tribe, but you as your reputation.
Are your family? Are your family?
Can't.
So each family would have a different coat of arms. Like, let's say I've got my sons, we would be one coat of arms. Let's say my brother was living in another land, his coat of arms would be different to me.
Right.
But all their coat of arms was black. So lucky, let me see if there's anything else on in. So lucky, go ahead, okay.
Yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying. Yeah, the difference in coat of arms would be obviously something that represents your family and something that represents your my family. So we would know that what would you, I mean, you're always identifying your family then, like your last name kind of thing.
Yeah, but people put whatever they wanted on there. So now, let's say, for instance, there was a man who beheaded 3 English lordmen. He beheaded 3 of them. So on his coat of arms, he put 3 heads. So when people see his family, they would know this is the family who beheaded. So you would have whatever relates to you. So your coat of arms could mean anything.
Whatever
relates to you.
Right, understand that. And all your family would carry that.
Yeah.
Right.
Your immediate family, that would be their coat of arms.
Sir. Got you, sir.
So now, here we're having the book, page 87. It says, Moorish blood came into the English royal family. Also, Elizabeth, daughter of Edward IV and mother of Henry VIII, had several Moors in her family. Among these, Count More and Count Maurian. There's also an Almoravid of Almoravid, which says Turton is distinctly Moorish. The Almoravids were conquerors of Spain in 1086 AD and were largely Negroes.
If
yeah, all right. Hold on. Give me. Wait, how do I do it? Can they leave it on? Give me 1 second. I'm just going to switch the hotspot. Hold on. Give me 1 second. What's the camera looking like now?
Still the same, sir.
Same.
Still the same. Yeah, it's a little
bit
like misty. Yeah, it's lucky.
Yeah. All right. So it's Moors in French, German, Dutch, and other European families. Families on the continent also have Negroes in considerable numbers in their coat of arms. There are 50 or more variations of the word Moor in the European language. So now, all of these was black men which ruled over Europe. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see what I want next. So now, you see how we read that how they all ruled Europe? Now, let me get more proof that they ruled Europe.
So, lucky. What book is that, sir?
This one that I got right here.
Yeah, the next one. Yeah, can't.
This one is observations concerning the increase of
Observation concerning the increase of mankind and peopling in of the countries. Khan Benjamin Franklin. Khan, sir, Thwada.
So now, this book is harder. This book is hard as shit to get, so lucky. So now, let me hold on. Wait a minute, Banyamian. I'm gonna send you this picture. Just let me send you this picture real quick. You see what it is? I'm too lazy to do the whole thing like a PowerPoint. I'm working on it, so lucky.
No, sir.
All right, Benjamin, I'm gonna send you this on WhatsApp. Hold on, bear with me 1 second. What's it looking like here? Hakim, what's the camera looking like now?
Yeah, Tawab.
It's Tawab now.
Yeah, can't. I wouldn't mind seeing those coat of arms again, though. Now the screen's clear.
Hold on, one second. Let me get them for you.
I could have one card.
Was it around here? So now these is the coat of arms of the black families. So okay, read the part on the bottom.
French, Dutch, and Belgian families.
So now it says French, Dutch, and Belgian families. All of these was Negroes, and this was all their black coat of arms. Is there any more? Give me the part on the bottom of the next page where it gives you the other kingdoms where black people ruled over. Should be on the
names of families, except 3 denote Negro ancestry.
Names of families except 3 denote Negro ancestry. Does it list there?
What does that mean?
Are?
What does that mean,
Sorry,
sir?
Basically saying that apart from 3 of their coats of arms, all of them had Negro families.
Right. Out of how many?
Out of about 50 something.
Okay, so 3 of them was white people.
It doesn't denote who there was, but
okay,
they didn't have Negro ancestry. This is another coat of arms. Give me that part at the bottom, which is highlighted. What does that part say?
German families with names of Negro origin.
German families with names of Negro origin. German families. How did these German families get to Germany? Because they was Israelites, man, that came from Scandinavia, that came from Denmark, that came from Norway. That's how they were. That's why they was in Europe. So, like I said, all these brothers branched out from Scandinavia and went to France and Germany and all these places. Benjamin, read what your Salaki was going to say something, Hakim.
Yeah, Khan. So before Scandinavia, sir, could you just tell me what kind of year and timeline that was before and where they was before they came to Scandinavia, if you don't mind?
All right, then. Most of these brothers was fighting in the Roman armies. So that's how they got to mainly Europe. Because at one stage, the Romans ruled Europe.
Right.
So one stage they take the phone upside down. But yeah, so what it is, one stage they ruled Europe. So now what happened is some of these brothers was prisoners of Rome. So some of these was prisoners of Rome, some of these trained in the Roman military. So they was very familiar with Europe. So they would take their family and say, yo, let's go settle here. And then because they was in the army of Rome, they knew how Roman tactics and how to fight.
Right.
So when it came to overthrowing the Romans, they knew what to do because they had trained in the Roman army.
Right.
Most of them knew how the Romans worked. Why? Because they was prisoners of Rome. And then over time, they was living in Europe. There was some of them that was in Europe before the mass migration of the brothers into Europe. So now, go ahead.
So when they overturned Rome, they went to Scandinavia mainly. A lot of them.
Also, a lot of them was in Scandinavia, and then once Rome was getting attacked by everybody. Rome was getting attacked by the Picts, which is the Japhetic people. Yeah, was getting attacked by the people of Japhet. Was getting attacked by some of the Saxons on the other side. Right. And then the Romans left England, and then the Picts started to attack the Japhetic people that lived in what we know as England. Back then it was called Britain. Right. So they attacked the Britons, and then Vortigern II asked the Romans for help. The Romans is like, yo, we're busy fighting a war in Italy. There's nothing we can do. Right. But then he turned and turned to Anglo Saxons. He turned to Hengist and Horsa, two Anglo Saxon brothers. They came, they defeated the Picts. So once they defeated the Picts, they looked at England and said, damn, this is a weak people, man. We can take this land. And then they started to spy out the land like Joshua did. They spied out the land. And then they was like, yo, they said to vote again. Can we bring some of our other warriors over because we need more? He's like, yeah, do your thing. He's brought them over and they ended up killing the Japhetic people. The Japhetic people ended up leaving England and going to Wales. Right. And then that's how the Anglo-Saxons started taking land. Right. So that's how they started taking all of their land all over England.
And the Scandinavia parts are within all of that.
So like you say that again?
And the Scandinavia part that was with all of that, they took all the land. Oh, and that's when they migrated to Scandinavia.
No, they migrated from Scandinavia.
Okay, from there to got you now. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So they was moving around. So in Scandinavia, brothers took different routes. Some crossed the Baltic Sea to go to Denmark and so forth. So now there's all these different seas which leads to different places. And depending on what sea you would take, you would end up somewhere else.
Right.
So then some of them crossed the sea and ended up going different places. So now, as we just read in Nature Knows No Color Line, how all these black people ruled over kingdoms and whatnot, I'm going to have Banyamyan read what he's holding in the book. Go ahead, Banyamyan. If it's lucky, you might be, you're on mute, Banyamyan, you're on mute.
Salakia, sir.
Oh, sir.
This is a book, Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind. This is page 10. And since the detachment of the detachments of English from Britain sent to America will have their places at home so soon supplied and increase so largely there, why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements?
So he was asking, why should these people be allowed to swarm into our settlement? Go ahead.
And by herding together, establish their languages.
And they said by herding together, establish their language and manners. Go ahead. We're going to see who he's talking about. Go ahead.
To the exclusion of ours.
To the exclusion of ours, meaning what these people who's came around, they've got their manners here and their language. We don't want to hear that. Go ahead.
Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of...
This man said these people are going to Germanize us. Now we're going to find out who these Germans are. He said these people are going to Germanize us. Now, Hakian, where did they say the Anglo-Saxons originally came from?
Scandinavia.
And after Scandinavia, where?
Rome.
Germany,
yeah.
Yeah. So now that's why he said to Anglicize us or Germanize us. Go ahead. Now, this man believed he was a real Englishman. He believed that he was English and he lacked in knowing certain parts of history because he believed the Anglo-Saxons was white. He said everybody else is black except the Anglo-Saxons because obviously he's writing from the 1800 standpoint where everybody's Edomites at that stage. Now, if he would have came into these classes, I would have showed him the Anglo-Saxons was black. So, lucky, go ahead. Read on.
Be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them.
What does it mean? What does Anglifying them mean? What does it mean when you Anglicize someone?
Would that be related to converting them?
In a way, but converting them to what? When you Anglicize someone. Sorry, say that again, Benjamin.
Probably to making them
for them to conform to our rules, our ways, our languages.
In a way, but Anglicize them. Go ahead, Hakim. What was you going to say?
I was going to say like Anglicizing them to follow the English or Roman way or German way, could I say?
So to Anglicize means to make them English.
Yeah.
So that's what it meant when you said to Anglicize them. He said, why are we letting them Germanize us when we should anglicize them? Go ahead.
Canada and Khan. Instead of our anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexions.
And they said they won't adopt our customs or language the same way they can't acquire our complexion, meaning these people can't become white. They can't acquire our complexion. Go ahead.
Canada and Khan. Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small.
They said the number of white people in the world is proportionately very small. Go ahead.
All Africa is black or tawny.
You're saying all Africa is black people. Go ahead.
Asia, chiefly tawny.
One is another word for black. Go ahead.
America,
Go ahead.
exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so.
Go ahead.
And in Europe, the Spaniards,
It goes,
Italians,
and in Europe, the Spaniards. Now, who are the Spaniards today?
the Spanish people in Spain.
Meaning
Spain.
Edomites, right?
Khan, sir.
So now, who was the Spaniards back then?
Not Edomites.
It would have been black people that ruled Spain.
Black people.
Yeah. So it would have been black people that ruled Spain.
Because they get the name of the place that they're in, right?
Yep.
Okay, got you.
So now,
right.
That's why he called them that. Go ahead.
And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are
So now,
generally.
now he's running down a list of people, and most of these countries that we read there is countries which was in part of Scandinavia, right? So now he's ran them down. Read that list again.
Canada and Khan. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion.
Hold on, what color was they?
A swarthy complexion.
Said all those people's a swarthy complexion. So when we say black men ruled Europe, this is how you know we're not lying, man, because this man had a problem with it. He said the Italians, the French, the Russians, and the Swedes are what we call a swarthy complexion. And them coat of arms of black men that ran Europe, those was all swarthy complexions. Now, let me get the definition of swarthy, so nobody don't say we're lying. Hold on. You're able to see that on the screen.
Swarthy, dark complexion.
Swarthy means what?
Dark complexion.
Swarthy means dark complexion, and these dark-skinned black men was ruling Europe, man. And that's part of the history they don't want you to know, that they had a controversy with it. It says they was ruling Europe. Now let me get the one from last week. So I can go ahead.
So it's true that Arnold Schwarzenegger means black Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
His name is right. It's like Arnold, black nigger. Is that true or that?
The nigger part, yeah, because that's where is it from? Sweden, Austria, somewhere. So that nigger part's meant to mean that, which lets you know that the name that he has is clearly stole it from someone that was black.
So it's not derogatory now.
Nowadays, it's not. He would just say, "Yo, that's my family name." That's what he will say. So he's not gonna go and say, like, well, it is. Once we lost our inheritance, they then stepped into our position. Hold on, let me find what I wanted here.
And this is all hidden from our people, all of it.
Yes. So now you see how we read that. You see, Banyamin, read the last part of what you're reading again.
Can't, sir. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion.
And they said they called them a swarthy complexion. So he said that all of these men was black. So now let me quickly read this in this book. We went over it last week. It says, so in the southern parts of Ireland, we meet with a race of people identical with the small dark Welshmen. If you were to take specimens of these small dark Welshmen, Scotchmen, and Irishmen, and Iberians from the Western Pyrenees and dressed them alike, I don't think you'd be able to tell one from another. Listen, man, black men was ruling all of Europe, man. They said if you took all these black men and dressed them the same, you wouldn't be able to tell one from another, man. What made them stand out and what made them different was how they dressed, which is letting you know black men also ruled Wales, man. We're going to go into a little bit about Wales a bit later on, man. Hold on. So now, the Anglo-Saxons, now let's go back to the Anglo-Saxons. I'm going to have to skip some for time's sake. The Anglo-Saxons, they also had laws. So they had laws which was similar to what we follow today. They had like, if you committed a crime and you was a thief, you would have to be a slave to someone to pay off your debt. They had that as one of their laws. So you'd be enslaved and you'd have to pay off your debt. They also had a thing called a blood feud. Blood feud. Let me see if I can find it.
Blood feud.
There's a thing over there. Over there, isn't it? Hold on. Let me see if I... Hold on, wait a minute. I'll start sharing that. All right, so now they had laws on how they could kill people over certain things. So is anyone able to read that off the screen?
Can't, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Can't, sir. Blood feud was a system of justice in Anglo Saxon times. It allowed the victim of their family to harm or kill the person who committed a serious crime against them.
So now, this is their law, the blood feud. What law does this sound like in the Bible?
The Old Testament, where it's eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
God.
You in the latter, you know already in the latter as you know already. You got to give me more than that. Yeah, go ahead. You can do it. Yeah, is it see if you can find it for me. Go ahead, Benjamin.
So, like I said, I was thinking of the law in Leviticus where if a man kills a man, then is the blood is upon his head.
Oh, you was close. You started off right. You started off right.
Okay.
So someone online, let me see. So this is a blood feud. It says was a system of justice in Anglo-Saxon times. It allowed the victim or their family to harm or kill the person who committed a serious crime against them. Oh yeah. So now, someone online want to give it a go. What law does this sound like in what law does this sound like in the Bible? Let me give them a minute. Hold on, let me go ahead, use that one another crack at it. All right, someone get me the book of Numbers.
Can't, sir, I've got it.
You got it. So you got the answer of the scripture?
I've got the answer with the scripture.
All right.
Go ahead.
He's done it again.
He's done it again.
God, sir. I've got Numbers chapter 35.
And
we can start at verse 16.
Let me see. Yeah, go ahead.
Numbers chapter 35, verse 16. And if he smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he die,
So now this is
he
talking
is
about if a man smites another and he dies. Go ahead.
he is a murderer.
He's a murderer. Go ahead.
The murderer shall surely be put to death.
Go ahead.
Verse 17. And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death.
So now it says the murderer shall surely be put to death. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Or if he smite him with an hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The
Go ahead.
murderer shall surely be put to death.
Go ahead.
Verse 19. The revenger of blood himself.
The what? The what?
The revenger of blood himself.
So now this is what a blood feud would be. Was a system of justice in Anglo Saxon time. Says it allowed for the victim or their family to harm or kill the person who committed a serious crime. And in the Bible, that would be the revenger of blood. You get the point? So now, in the Bible, they call it the revenger of blood. In Anglo-Saxons laws, they called it the blood feud. Blood feud. So that's what they called it. And in the Bible, they call it the revenger of blood. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Right.
The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer.
So, like
The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. Go ahead.
Would that be like a bounty hunter?
Like, oh, this is like a family affair. This is like, yo, you killed my brother. I'm coming to kill you.
So it'd be like a vigilante thing then, by himself.
Like, oh, because basically in the Bible, this was allowed. So a man wouldn't operate on his own. This was the law that he's allowed to do it.
Right. Okay.
So this wouldn't be that a man just goes out and kills a man because
what? Yeah. Of today, what would you call it? A revenger of blood. What, I know it's against the law, but what would we terminize it? Like the terminology of today, how would we? What word would it be? So I can register it.
Today that would be called murder. That would be called a revenge killing today.
Okay, right, all right, simple
so today,
like that.
Today that would be a revenge killing, which you go to jail for. So whereas back then, obviously it was in the law. Here, this was in Anglo-Saxon law. They was allowed to do it. You would have to be a family member. They could kill someone that committed a serious crime against their family. Benjamin, was there any more on that?
Can I just read it again, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse Numbers chapter 35, verse 19. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. That's it, sir.
Must have frozen, you know. You look like he's frozen. Read 20 Benjamin, if you could.
Can. Verse 20. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying of weight, that he die. Verse 21. Or in enmity smite him with his hand, that he die. He that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer.
Right.
The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him.
Con. That's heavy there.
But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without laying of weight. Verse 23. Or with any stone wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him, that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm. Verse 24. Then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments.
I understand that as if he threw the stone accidentally without the intent to kill him, then he wouldn't be sorry, then it would be up to the congregation and the judge. Salakia, sir.
Hey, Shalom. So lucky the internet was playing up. Hold on. Where? What's the last thing we was reading? The Avenger of Blood.
Count, sir.
All right.
Hold
on. Go ahead.
Count, sir. We were buffering. We read down to verse
24.
24, sir.
And it was it saying something like if basically somebody threw the stone accidentally and didn't mean to murder him, then it would be up to the it says it would be up to the judge and the congregation.
And you would flee to the city of refuge, and if the Lord's with you, you're gonna make it to the city of refuge. If the Lord ain't with you, the revenger of blood is gonna catch you. The revenger of blood is gonna catch you lacking if the Lord ain't with you. So that's how that would work. So, so you'll be witness protection until the priest dies, and then obviously after that, you'll be allowed to come back to the city. And then obviously, if that man did kill you after that, then he would die because obviously over that time is supposed to leave it. So now this is the Anglo Saxons when they converted to Christianity. But listen, you tell me that's not a badass mask right there.
That's a heavy mask.
Listen, I'm trying to get one of those.
That's black people, right?
That was the Anglo Saxon mask.
That's our mask. What we made as a right.
They got some of them in the museum, but obviously the Auburn. Well, it is. And the reason they knew that black people were in Europe because when they found the bones, now when they done their excavations and found bones, they found bones of Celtic people and bones of the other people, and they understood that the bones wasn't the same.
Hey, if
so
I
anybody
may,
telling you that black people weren't in Europe, they're lying to you. The bones wasn't the same. Slucky, go ahead.
If we wore that to camp, boy, see that there? Wearing that to camp would be serious.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get one.
Yeah, man, that'd be heavy.
I'm telling you, you are gonna think that. You are gonna see me with the axe, the mask.
I won't mind one of them myself.
You're gonna see me speaking some old Germanic language. Get me some Gaelic that you can't understand. You're gonna be looking at me like that.
So lucky, was that writing on the That's not Hebrew writing on there. That can't be.
So they would have spoken old Germanic language. So the old Germanic language over time it became Anglo Saxon English, which became Old English. Then you have Middle English. Then you have Modern English. So even if we want to get technical, the language that these lot speak, we brought it over to this place, man, because it was called Anglo Saxon language. So if we want to get technical, Salakia, go ahead.
We what, Salakia? We what did you say? We brought what over to where?
We brought the language over to this place that they speak today. Hold on. Because now, in the beginning, the Anglo-Saxons, what did they used to do? Burn down the churches. They used to burn down the churches because they was far from religious. They was considered pagans. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, all right. Is anyone able to read that at the end of the 6th century?
At the end of the 6th century, the most powerful ruler among the Anglo-Saxon kingdom was Ethelbert of Kent.
Ethelbert of Kent, go ahead.
Whose lands extended north of the river Humber. He married a Frankish princess, Bertha of Paris.
He married a Frankish princess. Who was the Franks?
The French, sir.
Yep. And what was their kingdom called?
So who
did most of the Franks become?
Most of the Franks because were the Normans.
Yes. So that's why you have the Norman conquest. Now, give me a famous Norman.
Famous Norman.
Give me a famous Norman.
What's that guy's name?
I'm-
Sam. Is it named Sam?
A famous Norman who's named after me.
It's Dominic.
Let me help you out. I'm Dumgabar the Conqueror. Who's the famous Norman?
William, not William. No, it's William.
William the Conqueror.
Is it? Okay.
So like yesterday, I said Dominic.
Listen, you're telling me that's not such a nigga named William the Conqueror?
That's heavy. That's heavy.
And then who else is another famous Norman?
You got William, and then you got the other one. What's his name there? The one he done the
Lion
film. Yeah, that's right.
So these was Normans, which comes from Northmen. So now what you will find is after the Anglo-Saxons, the kings which rose up after the Anglo-Saxons, who was they?
The kings that rose up after the Anglo-Saxons.
Because remember, after the Anglo-Saxons, you had what? The Norman conquest, right? What we're going to go into next week. I don't want to go too much into it. So you had the Norman conquest. So now, what you'll find is all of those family houses which came from the Norman conquest became who? The House of Plantagenet.
What does that mean?
Richard II, William, Edward the Black Prince, Longshanks, yeah. So they was the House of Plantagenet, where
What's
the
that mean?
original name was the House of Anjou. So where's Anjou? It's in France.
Right.
So that's so now what you'll find is after that, all the kings after was Normans up until they got to about Henry VIII and them. So while it is, when you look at it, there hasn't been that much royal families. Now, when you look at history, you'll think there's been loads of royal families in Britain. There hasn't really. It started off with the Anglo-Saxons, the Normans. After the Normans, who was next after the Normans? The Plantagenets.
Right.
So now people ask, why was they called the Plantagenets if it was from France, Anjou? Because on their crown used to wear a plant which was the Plantagenista. I believe the plant's called Plantagenista, a leaf that used to put on their crown. So that's why they called the House of Plantagenets, but really it was called the House of Anjou. So after the House of Plantagenets, who came next after that? The House of Tudor. Now, who's the most famous king of the House of Tudor?
Can't say that's Henry VIII.
Yes. So then you had the House of Tudor. After the House of Tudor, who ruled after the House of Tudor? King James's family, but what are they called? The House of what?
Not House of David.
Our House of Stuart.
Stuart. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now that's all. That's all they've really been of royal families. People make out like there's been loads, but really they ain't been that much. Probably been about 5, 6. So now this is when the Anglo-Saxons became Christian. Is there somebody? Hold on, let me scroll down to the Gregorian mission. Go ahead.
Salakia. Augustine arrived on. So Salakia, where did you want me to read from?
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me see if I can get to a point which is to the point. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second.
Go on.
There's a lot of history that was taken from us.
Bear with me. Hakian is that guy online from last week that was saying he wants the battle loss? Is he online or that?
Nah, he's not on. Let me just have a quick check, but I don't think so. It
wonder
wouldn't be
why.
wise for him to come. It wouldn't be wise for him to come on here.
I wonder why he's not online. He done his research and realized what we're saying is true.
That's right.
Done his research and realized, damn.
Paul, I think his name was Paul, wasn't it? I think so.
Something like that. You know, I can't even find the part I'm looking for. So basically, they sent missionaries to England to convert the Anglo Saxons. 2 men came to try and convert the Anglo Saxons, and the Anglo Saxons did what? Stabbed them up. The Anglo Saxons, they stabbed them up and said they ain't converting. So then that to send more men, and then over time they went to hold on, let me see what I want next. They went to one of the Anglo Saxon kings, and then once he converted, tons of people followed his lead. Hold on. Let me get Kings and Queens of Britain. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. All right, hold on. I'm gonna wait a minute. Let me see which page I want. Kings and Queens of Britain.
So, like, did you say they tried to convert them to what? Not Christianity, was it?
That's to Christianity, and they stabbed them up.
That's black.
Hold on, let me, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. They said, I know they said 2 men. They said them men. You know what? I can't even find it, but they stabbed them up. Hold on, let me see which part I want. Hold on. Wait a minute, let me see what I want. So now we're gonna go into Alfred the Great. Hold on, let me just take a picture of this page. Wait a minute, I gotta get a better picture. That's not. Wait a minute. Nah, that's too small. You know what? I'll read it from here. This page 24 with Alfred the Great. So now what's Alfred the Great known for? Alfred the Great is known for what? Fighting the Vikings. That's what Alfred the Great's known for.
Right.
So he's known for fighting the Vikings. Page 154. Yeah, is it 23? But it says Alfred.
They're pathetic, aren't they? If I'm Mason.
So I can say that again.
They're pathetic. They've put his face as a white man, you know.
Alfred the Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put all of their faces as white. So everybody they put as white, everybody.
They're so scared. They must be so scared, boy. And we know our history.
That's it, and that's why when the Bible says the earth helped the woman, this is what they did. Hold on, wait a minute. Yeah. So when it said the earth helped the woman, that's what it's talking about, because they tried to hide it. Hold on, let me just highlight this. Go ahead, you can read that one from there.
As Alfred came to the throne of Wessex, age 22, AD 871, the kingdom and indeed the whole Anglo-Saxon England was seemingly at the mercy of Viking invaders.
Was at the mercy of Viking invaders, because now these Vikings started invading England heavy. They heard about the silver coinage that England had, because these men weren't dumb. Now they seen the merchants. They seen the merchants coming over, and they'll say to the merchants like, "Yo, so what are you like bringing to England, man?" The merchants they would see these merchants and say, "Yo, what are you like?" The traders and so forth. And then from there, they said, "Forget this." So some of them Vikings came to England with Guthrum, a man called Guthrum. They came to England with Guthrum, and the Anglo-Saxons thought, "Oh, these men are merchants." So they've sent them to where the things are. These Vikings stabbed up the people and plundered all the goods. And then they would keep on doing that. But go ahead.
Nonetheless, he managed to contain and then drive back the Viking threat and to rule with wisdom and energy.
And Alfred was able to push back the Viking threat. He was able to push them back. Go ahead.
For almost 3 decades. In his reign, learning was revived in England and the incomparable Anglo Saxon chronicle begun. He is the only monarch in English history to have been awarded the Effie Great after the landing of the Danish Viking Great Army.
After the what?
Landing of the Danish Viking Great Army.
So this was the Danes Viking army. Now, who are the Danes? Where are the Danes from? So the Danes are from Denmark. So that's where the Danes are from. So the Danes are from Denmark. So these Vikings was now when you say Viking, you don't want to say is the Vikings are Israelites. You don't want to say that because Vikings could be anybody. A Viking was a derogatory term for like a thief or a raider. So if you are going to mention Vikings, you have to be very specific and find out who the exact people are, because there could be Edomite Vikings, there could be all kinds of Vikings. So a Viking was more an English term, which they would use against their enemies. It's like calling someone an up. Now, if you speak to the Danish people, they would never call themselves a Viking. They call themselves Danes. So when you call them Vikings, that was the English derogatory term for them. So like, is there any more in that about Alfred?
Like
865, the Vikings had taken York.
The Vikings did what?
Taken York. Captured.
And the Vikings started to take cities in England, man. They had taken York. Go ahead.
Captured Northumbria in 867 and taken control of East Anglia.
And they took control of East Anglia. Go ahead.
In 869.
In 869. So these are the Danes. Now they started to capture cities in England, and they did get a few cities in England, and they called it what? They had Dane law there. So then you had Danes in England who had their own laws. In England, it was called Dane law. So I don't know if you've watched The Last Kingdom, where they will have different cities, and one man will have his laws one way, next man will have his laws the next way. They had that. So the Danes, the British called Vikings, they set up a place called Dane, where they had Dane laws there. It was called Dane law. Go ahead.
However, in the spring of 871, Alfred and his brother, King Athelred of Wessex, led men to Wessex in a morale boosting victory.
And now he led them in a morale boosting victory. He led them in a victory because they did what? They went to fight. Go ahead.
Over the Vikings on the ridgeway of Ashton in Berkshire, killing thousands of invaders.
And they killed thousands of invaders. So then they started to defend England. Back then, obviously, it wasn't called Angleland at that stage, because by this time, the Danes had captured York, and obviously is the only ones they didn't capture at the time, I believe, was Wessex. So the men of Wessex went out to fight, and then what you had is, you had tons of kingdoms in England, tons of brothers, but what happened is a lot of them was weaker than the others, so most of them got absorbed into the bigger kingdoms like Wessex and so forth. Go ahead.
Including 5 earls and a king. A few weeks later, on the 23rd of April, 871, AD, Alfred came to the throne of Athelred's death, but the Ridgeway victory brought little lasting benefit to the new king. Almost at once, Alfred's army was scattered.
So now, there was one time when the Danes was coming so heavy that Alfred's army was scattered, and in other records it tells you that Alfred had to go in exile for a bit, and then afterwards he came out of exile and then went to war again. Go ahead.
Far and wide, by a renewed Viking assault.
By a renewed Viking assault, these Danes wanted the land and money and wealth. like so much black people do, want money, land, and wealth. So back then, nowadays we just call it a robbery. Back then, they gave it a name, Viking invasions, to make it sound different. Viking invasions. So, Lucky, go ahead.
That hit when he was attending Alfred's funeral.
That hit. That's some gangster shit that came when he was at a man's funeral, you know. Imagine that. Yeah, at a man's funeral, they know you're weak and vulnerable. They came and attacked them, man, at the funeral. No, not at the funeral, but around the time of the funeral. Because they knew all the big men in that city would be at the funeral. Go ahead.
At Wimbledon, one of Alfred's first acts as king, therefore, was to buy peace.
And now, they knew that Alfred would buy peace. Sometimes they knew Anglo Saxon kings, they didn't want problems, so they would pay the Vikings off. Like, yo, just pay him and just go. You know, like the taxman. The Vikings would come and try and tax them, and because they wanted peace and couldn't be asked, they'll just pay them off. Like, yo, just take the coinage, because they knew they had some silver coinage, which was big back then. Go ahead. Slaki Ira said, Slaki said, is any of this information depicted in the TV show Vikings? So lucky, I've never ever watched the Vikings. Captain Mashak told me to watch it a long time ago. I've never ever watched it. I ain't got around to it, but I'm gonna get around to it. So but one day I'm gonna watch it. But I ain't watched Vikings. I watched one episode, but I need to watch it again and actually see if it's true. But what you'll find is a lot of these programs is based off real life, like The Last Kingdom. Who was Uhtred, son of Uhtred? Was he meant to be a Dane?
I don't watch it.
Yeah, watched it.
it.
What, ages ago, so I can't remember who he was. Remember, he just used to be like these bastard Danes.
I just watched the Dane.
Yeah. So you had Uhtred, son of Uhtred, and all of these people, the kingdom of Wessex and Mercia, and you're watching that thinking it's all these Edomites, not realizing these was your Anglo-Saxon brothers, man. He was king of Mercia and Wessex and all these places, and we got the proof that there was black men. We have the proof. Salakia, go ahead. Is there anyone that is that about it?
One of Alfred, to buy peace by bribing Vikings. This brought respite for a few years while the Vikings were occupied in conquering Mercia.
So now the Vikings were occupied in conquering other parts of the country. Go ahead.
But in 877 AD, a Viking force led by Guthrum.
A Viking force led by Guthrum. They say that Guthrum was a G. That's what they say. They say Guthrum was a G. They even named him. Although most of them they don't name, but the name him Guthrum. That name sounds gangster as could be. So okay, go ahead.
Renewed the attack and captured Exeter.
And now this man renewed the attack and he captured Exeter. Go ahead.
The following January, when a surprise attack on Chippenham resulted in another Viking victory.
And now the Vikings were actually winning some of these battles. They was winning some of these battles. Go ahead.
Guthrum won control over most of Wessex.
And now Guthrum started to conquer Wessex. So don't think Anglo-Saxon England was easy. Don't think black people just ruled Europe and there was no invaders. Everybody was trying to one up everybody and trying to get the land. So there was fighting all around, left, right, and center. Is there any more? Is that about it?
Alfred was forced to retreat deep into Somerset country.
So now this is when Alfred went into exile, because now Wessex was getting captured by Guthrum and them. So now he's gone into exile. Go ahead.
From a base at Athelney in the Somerset marshes, he began to conduct guerrilla war against the invader.
And now began to do guerrilla war. Go ahead.
In May 878 AD, he led an army of men from Wiltshire, Somerset, and Hampshire in a famous victory over the Vikings at Edington, at the northern limit of Salisbury Plain.
So now they had a war. It's called the War of Edington. So now they had a War of Edington. Go ahead.
And drove the remnants of his enemy all the way back to their base at Chippenham. And
now they started to push them back. Go ahead.
A distance over 15 miles.
Listen, 50 miles is far, man, when you ain't got no car. 50 miles is far when you ain't got no car. How far is 50 miles at Coventry? That's far. Wolves, that's far. That's far in the car. So imagine no cars. Anyone that is that about it? Half an hour drive. So imagine them. Anyone? Is that about it? Nah, that's probably it. Go ahead, Benjamin, read your one. So that was just a backdrop about Alfred the Great, how he fought the Danes, how he fought Guthrum. So Benjamin, read the one that you're holding, and then holding her here. Let me just take a picture of a book. So the book
Canada
that
one, sir.
is called The Kings and Queens of Anglo Saxon England.
Canada one, cancer. Vikings, East Anglia.
So
Guthrum.
now these Vikings was in East Anglia. Go ahead.
Guthrum, 879 to 90. Guthrum was one of the leaders of the Scandinavian army occupying Repton.
Guthrum was one of the leaders of the what?
Scandinavian army.
So Guthrum was one of the leaders of the Scandinavian army. So we showed you where Scandinavia was. Go ahead.
Occupying Repton in 874, who with Anud and Occitel then marched part of it to Cambridge. In 874 to 5, they settled East Anglia. Later, in 875, Guthrum invaded Wessex.
So now it's letting you know Guthrum invaded Wessex. Go ahead.
Probably by land, and established a base at Wareham with easy sea access, intending to ravage untouched Dorset. He was blockaded by Alfred and forced to promise to leave Wessex. He broke out by surprise and headed west to occupy Exeter.
He promised to leave Wessex. After read on, I believe in that part it lets you know about the converted him to Christianity and changed his name to Ethelstan. So you had Athelstan, you had Ethelstan. They changed his name to Ethelstan. So like, go ahead.
Can't, sir. He broke out by surprise and headed west to occupy Exeter and terrorize Devon instead. But his fleet
was just terrorizing everybody. Go ahead.
But his fleet was destroyed by storms of Swanage and was starved out at Exeter in 877.
Go ahead.
He and his captains had to swear peace on their sacred arm rings and were allowed to leave. But after moving to western Mercia, he treacherously attacked Alfred at 12th night.
So then he attacked Alfred again. Go ahead.
At Chippenham. The king narrowly escaped, but was a fugitive in the Somerset marshes for several months, while most of Wessex submitted to Guthrum, who may have set up a puppet king.
Go ahead.
A Danish seaborne attack on North Devon by Ube Huba Ragnarsson was defeated, and after Easter Alfred rallied his people and raised an army which won the vital battle of Ethandom, thought to be Breton down Eddington. Starved out in Chippenham, Guthrum had to accept baptism as Alfred's godson. Aller, May 878, and agreed to leave Wessex permanently in the treaty of Wedmore.
Permanently. So now, actually read on.
In the treaty of Wedmore.
So now they had the treaty of Wedmore. Him and Alfred had a treaty. So now with Guthrum was a Dane. So Guthrum was a Dane, meaning from Denmark. So what color was Guthrum?
Sorry, sir. What was that, sir? Slovakia.
So Guthrum was from Denmark, from Scandinavia. So he was a Dane. So what color was the Danes and what color was Guthrum?
Can't, sir. Black man, sir.
Yep. And whenever we say someone's black, we have to prove it, because Edomites are going to go on YouTube, go on Google, and show that the Danes are Edomites. So Haki, and read that what I sent to you.
Kadawan Khan.
So now what Hakian's going to read right there, that's another book. That what Hakian's going to read right there, that's another book. It's called Ancient and Modern Britons. Now this was an Irishman, David McRitchie, I believe. He was he's so upset with his findings. But go ahead.
Kadawan Khan. In short, she had the race marks of Negrotos.
So now you're saying she had the race marks of. Go ahead.
Negrotos and Australianoids of Professor Huxley. And in a more pronounced and hideous degree than may be seen in any living representative of these types.
So now, this is when they used to write things about black men. Used to write how those ugly and plays and try and make mockery of them. Go ahead.
Kainon, the son of Clydno, encountered another of those black people, a black giant with an iron club.
So they said this was a black people with an iron club. Go ahead.
And such giants swarmed throughout the Welsh tales.
And now they had all these Welsh tales proving that black people was in Wales, because they had tons of black Welsh tales. Used to say that the black people look like this, yellow teeth, black women with a hunchback, black women with big feet. Used to write all of these things. All of these tales used to write. So these was in Welsh tales, proving that black people was in Wales. Go ahead.
Khan. The Mabinogian says Mr. Wart's skies are full of black men.
It's full of what?
Black men.
So he said it's full of black men. Go ahead.
Usually giants. Always terrible to encounter.
Go ahead.
And they are all extremely ugly, in which respect they resemble the misshapen and swarthy Huns, the foul-mouthed and ugly Black Dane. That's it on that one, sir. Oh, there's another one. Did you want me to read the other one, sir? Salakia, sir. Oh, it's frozen again. Everything all right, Banyamin? You good?
Can't, sir.
You enjoy the thing? Enjoy the class?
Can't, yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's 12, man. Yeah. Most High in Christ.
Most High in Christ, sir.
I don't know if he knows this. I don't know. Let me see.
Can't, sir. I think he's logged out and logging back in now.
All right, calm.
Yeah, so lucky. We're just waiting on Officer Dungaba to come back in.
Hey, Shalom. So lucky the thing was messing about. So lucky, where was we?
So like I said, we was reading. If you want me to read that again, I can read that again for you, sir. So
Yeah,
it
go
was.
ahead.
In short, she had the race marks of a Nigritus and Australoids of Professor Huxley, and in a more pronounced and hideous degree than may be seen in any living representative of these types. Kynon, the son of Clydno, encountered another of those black people, a black giant with an iron club, and such giants swarmed throughout the Welsh tales.
So now they said giants swarm throughout the Welsh tales because they used to talk about black men derogatory. They used to have tales about them. That's how you know everywhere we go, people make mockery of us. Lucky, go ahead.
Quran Khan. The Mabinogians says Mr. Wirt skies are full of black men, usually giants, always terrible to encounter. And they are all extremely ugly. In which respect?
So they said these black men are all extremely ugly. They said all these black men are extremely ugly. Listen, man, that's a lie. That white women die for black men, man. They try to go to Jamaica and try to get a poor black man to go to Jamaica and get me to rent him. Yeah, it can't be that ugly.
That's right.
They're willing to pay to borrow him. They're not listen. They go to the rent a dread, not just any black man, a dread. Get me? They pay to rent a dread.
There's some white women here.
It can't be that
even touch a white man, you know.
Other one is black men. Now here, that's the black men are ugly. So lucky, go ahead.
Karawan Khan. In which respect they resemble the misshapen and swarthy Huns, the foul-mouthed and ugly.
They said they resemble the swarthy Huns. Go ahead.
The foul-mouthed and ugly black Dane.
The ugly black what?
Does Dane mean the Dane, sir? Does that mean the woman?
So the Dane was the Danes.
Oh right, Khan.
So now they said they resemble the ugly black Dane. So now, which is letting you know the Danes are black. Like I said, they make these things to diss us and mock us, but then we just use these things to prove that we was these people. So lucky, Hakim, I sent you a next one. Now we're gonna go. I sent you a next book. Now the next book the brother's gonna get is the origin of the Anglo Saxon race. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, is a possible explanation and one which appears to be the most natural, as there are some difficulties in this conclusion.
Listen. Let me tell you how racist these oppressors are.
Right.
This man.
You got off again.
So okay.
Came with I believe I'm about. So lucky. Get me page 66 in Origin, the one that you was reading. Oh, I forgot about that. Salaki Hakim, you're on mute.
Yeah, Salaki, sir. Did you want me to carry on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Khan Khan. As there are difficulties, as there are some difficulties.
Listen, the connection's bad. We're working on it, Salaki.
Khan
Next
Khan,
week, the internet should be to it's taken away from the class, Salaki. We're gonna have to redo it one day, Salaki. Go ahead.
Khan, as there are some difficulties in this conclusion, the question arises: is there any other way in which the origin of these mixed brown people, surrounded by others of a somewhat fairer complexion, Khan, can be explained?
So now they're trying to explain. Now they're trying to explain who are these black people. They're trying to explain who are these black people. Go ahead.
Khan. Salakia. An alternative explanation is that people of a darker race may have come with the Angles.
See, that's so racist. Imagine we can't be the Angles, but we could have came with them. So they're trying to find ways to explain who these black people was in England. The same we can't be the Angles, the same we must have came with them. Go ahead.
Khan, or Danes, and have settled largely in these parts of the country.
So now they said they could have came with the Angles or the Danes, which he's letting you know the Danes are black. That's why he said the brown complexion people could have came with the Angles or the Danes, because he knows he's letting you know the Danes are black.
Right.
Them people, them niggas that was ruling Denmark was black. Go ahead.
Carson, there are circumstantial evidence that
now the evidence is circumstantial. Go ahead.
Yeah, Khan. There is circumstantial evidence that people of a brown or dark complexion did come to England during the time of both the Saxon and they're trying to bamboozle us, right?
They're trying to say, well, black people came around the time as the Saxons and the Danes. What they're trying to say is you ain't the Saxons and you ain't the Danes, but black people did come around that time. That's what they're trying to say. How about we was the Saxons and the Danes? Salakia, go ahead.
They're crafty, man. Salakia. There was some circumstantial evidence that the people of a brown or dark complexion did come to England during the time of both the Saxons and the Danish settlements, and this may be now. Sorry,
listen. The reason black people came to England around the Saxon and Danish settlement is because the Saxons and the Danes were black. That's why.
That's right.
You're trying to separate the people. Right. You're trying to say the black people is separate from the Saxons. The black people is separate from the Danes. No, man. The Saxons was black. The Danes was black.
And Salakia, sir, even the writer of this book, right, with the evidence that he's got, he's trying to twist the words and make it look like, like you just say, separate.
And all throughout the book, he tries to debunk it, and then there's some parts in the book where it says, okay, we can't deny that black people was there. In the end, they gave up, like, all right, we can't deny that black people was there. Because you can't get around it, man. In the ISUPK, we have the records, man.
That's right.
All the history that we bring out in these classes, soon you're gonna see fake Israelites teaching all of this, like they actually went into the books. Listen, man, they'll be studying everything we do in the UPK, man.
That's right.
Whereas instead of that, why don't you just come in the UPK? It makes life easier. Why don't you just come in? Why don't you just come to class, and that way, Salaki, read on. Go ahead.
Khan, first, we have the evidence.
We have the evidence. Go ahead.
That the Wends were among the settlers.
Now, the Wends was another tribe. Go ahead.
During the early period.
The Wends was black people from northeast Germany. That's who the Wends was. Go ahead. So still all from that region. Salaki, go ahead.
Right. The Wends, especially so-called by the Germans, included some tribes much darker than the Saxon and Angles.
So those tribes darker than the Saxons and Angles. Go ahead.
Khan. As the remnant of the race still called Wends, living on the border of Saxony and
This race was called
Prussia
Wends, living on the border of Saxony. Go ahead.
and Prussia
Go ahead.
at the present time shows they are dark. They are the darkest people in North Germany, according to the official census. From 26 to 29% of the children of Wendish district
And listen, that's how you know that's a lot of black people. 26 to 29%. Why? Because I think there's a lot of black people in England and we only got 3%, and that includes the Africans, man. So imagine 29%. That's a whole lot. But they won't tell you this. So lucky, go ahead.
Cancer. Of the children of the Wendish district of Lusatier, south of Dresden, was shown by the censors to be brunettes. Damn. That's it.
Hold on 1 sec.
Yeah. Shall I read that again?
Read the yellow part. Hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, go ahead. Let me send something for you to read, Benjamin. So, okay, go ahead, Hakan.
So firstly, we have the evidence that the Wends were among the settlers either during the early period or later in the alliance with the Danes. The Wends specifically, so called by the Germans, included some tribes much darker than the Saxons and the Angles, as the remnant of the race still called Wends living on the border of Saxony.
So basically, that's another from Germany. But so what we wanted, what was the Danes was black. So now, for time's sake, I don't think we can get it. But they had the Treaty of Wedmore, and when Guthrum became Christian, and then after that, they gave him certain cities. They gave him East Anglia. Where's East Anglia today?
East Anglia is Ipswich and what, Felixstowe and them places, right?
East Midlands.
Is that right?
So they gave him East Midlands. So he got 5 boroughs. The 5 boroughs he got was Lincoln, Nottingham, Derby, Leicester, and Stamford.
Okay.
So now that land, if that was today, they would have been ruled by the Danes. So that's what they got. They got 5 boroughs. So like Benjamin, read the one that I sent you. This is just the next page in the same book.
Another one, cancer. Evidence that points to Norwegians of a brunette appearance.
Now it's talking about the Norwegians. Remember how we went earlier where we went over the cities of Scandinavia? Now, this man's trying to make excuses for why these other people, why these other brunettes are black. Now he's trying to make excuses, more excuses. Go ahead.
Evidence that points to Norwegians of a brunette appearance as another source.
The word brunette, nowadays, a brunette is an Edomite with dark hair. Brunette originally meant someone with brown skin. It comes from the word brun. And they moved the word R. They replaced the R, and then it became burn. All these names, Brun, Brunette, Benedict Brown, all of these meant people of dark complexion. So the origin of the word brunette meant someone of a dark complexion or brown complexion. Then over time, a brunette then became a brown skinned woman. Then over time, a brunette then became a white woman with dark hair. Hold on, let me see if I can quickly prove that. Hold on. Hold on, let me see if I can. Hold on. It's crazy because you have to search for these things because they've tried to hide it. They've tried to hide it so much that. Hold on. So now Let me prove what I'm saying. This is just a vague. So now here it says the word brunette is an adjective that describes a woman with brown hair and complexion. It comes from the French word brunette, which is the feminine form of brunette, a diminutive of brun, meaning brown. Brun in turn has a Germanic origin deriving from the Proto-Indo-European root brun, meaning brown or gray. So now that's what brunette originally meant. Nowadays, if you look up the word brunette, it means hold on. Let me. So now, if you look up the word brunette, nowadays it's a white woman with brown hair. Hold on, let me quickly read this. Now, this is in the book. It says color names and surnames and place names, which may probably have been derived from their original settlers. For example, there is the common name brown. This has been derived from the Anglo Saxon brun, signifying brown. It is not reasonable to doubt that when our forefathers called a man brun or brown, they gave him this name as a descriptive of his brown complexion. So that's what brunette means. Brunette came from someone brown complexion. Listen, man. Are there any of you Edomite scholars to stand before the ISUPK on this history, man? Are there any of you to come before us when it comes to this history? You won't be able to do it, man. Bring all your scholars, bring all your books, and I'll bring your own Edomite scholars, man. I'll bring your Edomite scholars, and I'll show you what they said. These ain't our records. These is their records. Salaka Benjamin, was there any more on that?
What? Salaka, sir. There was a little bit more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another source whence brown complexion people may have come into England.
So now they're still making excuses of brown complexion people when they came into England. Go ahead.
On the southeast coast of Norway, and here and there,
go ahead.
And here and there on the coast, farther north, a population is met with which differs from the usual Norwegian type. And this has been referred by anthropologists to a very ancient settlement.
I know a lady that used to be an anthropologist. Listen, man, these historians are anthropologists too, so lucky, go ahead.
Settlement there of the prehistoric brown race that survives in the highlands of Central Europe.
Now the prehistoric brown race which survives in the highlands, go ahead. Where's some of the highlands today? Scotland's where black people was, man. Go ahead.
Survives in the highlands of Central Europe and is known as the brown alpine race.
Go ahead.
That's it, sir.
That's it. And listen, man, all those people were dark skinned, man. Every last one of them. We're up on the time. So now we'll be here next week. Next week, we're going to go over the Norman conquest. Listen, man, you call the oppressor, tell him we got books too. You tell him we, hold on, Crawford, let me make this screen big. You tell that, how do I make it big? How do I make it big without dropping all the books off the table? This one. This one. This one. You tell the oppressor, listen, you tell the oppressor we got history books too, man. You tell him come here and try and refute what we're saying. Hold on, let me move this out of the way. Listen, we got book. Listen, someone tell the oppressor we got history books on top of history books, letting you know the Anglo Saxons were black men. Listen, man, tell him we got books on top of books. This is what I'm saying, man. You tell the guy from last week that said he was a historian. Where is it this week, man? Because all his scholars wrote these books, and with that, I passed the class over to Captain Karafia.
ISUPK security announcements. Where the ISUPK started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yana, rule for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will call each other. After 6 months, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Ties, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21. Malachi 3 and 8:10. Mean 10 in the Hebrew, Ma'ashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you like to give. Upcoming holy convocations is the Feast of Hanukkah, December 7. Or check the bulletin board in the hallway, and check all ISUPK social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube. With that, I'm going to give one quick super to teach them individual. I'm Mariam Shabbat. I'm Mariam Barak. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Brakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Hashem Kafam.
Yajamata. Class dismissed.
All right, Shalom Israel. I'll see you next week, but we'll be here tomorrow with the scripture breakdown. Happy and Ben Yam Yam for what I appreciate it. Shalom.
Order, sir. Most in Christ.